Thank you so much for joining me this morning on this beautiful day. Crisp fall weather we've got upon us. I'm Laurie Cadigan, and I've been in the real estate business 34 years in the greater Boston area now. I'm proud to say that my husband and I own Barrett, Sotheby's International Realty. We have 8 offices up and down Route 2, 128, 495 area. And I'm here today to share with you some preparing your home for sale ideas, tips, tricks, and certainly we've got some time to do some questions and answers. Whether you're preparing your home for this market or 5 years from now, always a great idea to kind of lean in on what would be the best things to do, some of the areas that I'm sure you've got questions about related to increasing the value and hopefully shortening your market time. That is the goal of every realtor, is to make sure that we maximize your profit, but also live within your time frame goals. And as you know, and I know, when you start to look at real estate, one of the first things the buyer would ask you is, how long has this property been on the market? And unfortunately, the buyer makes decisions related to value, pricing, those kinds of things based on how long it's been on the market. So we're here today to involve you and to share with you lots and lots of years of experience. And also I'm thrilled to have Lisa Skripps from Linen and Lantern on with me. Lisa is frankly my personal decorator. She's done some office work for us. She's done some work for me at my second home. She is a fabulous designer, but more importantly, she does an awful lot of work for our realtors in helping their clients prepare their homes for sale. So many of us watch HGTV. I can assure you that every home doesn't need to look like it's been designed by Chip and Joanna Gaines, but it will help to try to walk through the decluttering, neutralizing colors, those kinds of things. So I'm going to share my screen, and I've got several of my realtors on. Good morning, Michelle. They just don't get enough of me, I guess, during the week. So here we are sharing together on a Saturday. I'm going to share this screen. So let's talk about the seasons. This is a beautiful season. Fall is a wonderful time. People are out in New England, leaf peeping, apple picking, but they're also out looking at real estate. You know, the myth is all properties sell in the spring market, and I will tell you that's not the case. About half of our properties sell before the August timeframe, and then about 30%, 40%, a little bit after that. We do have a very strong fall market. Round about Thanksgiving time, things do start to quiet down a little bit. But frankly, you know, if someone is intent on moving, and especially this year, there's been a migration out of the metropolitan areas and into the suburban areas. And because inventory has been so low, people are just looking for great properties any time of the year. In the past, I would have told you that in the springtime, you'll get higher demand, but you'll also have more competition from your neighbors. People tend to put their properties on the market in the spring. Used to be because children, they wanted to make sure that their children finished up school in the school system, and then before they went on vacation could move to their other property. But frankly, with the COVID situation, you know, children have been homeschooled, they're hybrid. It's not so much of a factor anymore, but I will tell you that most of the time you'll see a higher demand and more properties on in spring, which could very well mean that you may be able to get more for your home in the fall when there's less competition and people are actually clamoring for suburban properties. We provide a market evaluation, both qualitative and quantitative. You know, it's always an interesting thing when someone says, oh, my neighbor down the street got XYZ. Sometimes you know exactly what they got for their properties, and sometimes it's just hearsay. What we want to provide you is an accurate picture of exactly what's happening in your community, what's happening in your neighborhood, and what's happening in like-kind properties. You know, we tend to sell the property twice. We sell it once to the buyer, and then we sell it once to typically their lender. An appraiser will come in and do an evaluation after we've done our evaluation and have found a buyer, and do exactly that same more quantitative feel on the property values. So you want to make sure that you're hitting the market right, that you're hitting pricing right. And once again, you're not that property where buyers say, how long has this property been on the market? So we do a market value and market preparation. I'm going to chat about that right now. The selling cycle is prepare, then position, then market, then move. In the preparation stage, we're here to give you a hand on letting you know exactly what you should be doing to improve your property, but not over improve. One of the things that people tend to do before they put their property on the market is start to get concerned about, oh, I don't have granite counters, or I need to paint this room. Oh my goodness, I should have finished the basement. We're happy to provide you the insight on what you should really be spending your money on to make sure that you get a return on that money. So that's the preparation plan. And also we involve people like Lisa and others, you know, to help us in that preparation plan. What happens is most people tend to focus on the positioning and the marketing, when really, frankly, these days, preparation has much more to do with your market value than ever before. So preparation, return on your investment actually leads to dollars. The cost versus value approach is a very interesting plan. Would it be foolish for you to put a 2-car garage on a property that you're about to sell soon? Probably. You know, in order to get dollar for dollar for that investment or that improvement would be probably over time. It wouldn't happen in the first 6 months. So we'll come in and give you an evaluation of the things that will probably cost you little in order to give you a little more return on that value, and obviously make your property more appealing to today's buyer. Today's buyer, unfortunately, doesn't have the bandwidth, doesn't have the contractors, doesn't have the cash to do an awful lot of improvements unless they're looking for those kinds of fixer-upper homes. So we're going to try to help you find ways to do those improvements to make the property look like it's a great investment and a great value to the buyer. Some of the areas of concern, the seller's description of condition and the home inspector, they will eventually lead to what we call the good, the bad, and the ugly. You may have heard that in this frenzy of buying real estate in the past 12 to 18 months, people are waiving their inspection. I will tell you that most realtors would never recommend that. It's not a good practice, especially if you're buying a home that's not new construction, that has been, loved and lived in for the past 20 or 30 years. It's always a good idea to employ a home inspector. What's happening sometimes now is that they are doing a pre-inspection. So they're bringing in the inspector to do sort of a condensed version of the home inspection prior to making an offer, because a lot of sellers have been pushing back on that home inspection issue. So it's always a good idea to consult with your realtor, make sure that you're practicing the norms of the area. If indeed it's a very competitive property, you may want to do a pre-inspection. Maybe you're the kind of person that is okay about taking on furnace issues and roofing issues and what have you, because you've done that kind of work before. But it's always a good idea to evaluate that. So you're looking at the good, you're looking at the bad, you're taking a look at the ugly, and some of the critical items that you want to be concerned about are obviously things that are very visible: roofing, siding, chimneys, any water damage, those kinds of things. There are many times we walk through a property and a homeowner will say to us, oh, that was a shower problem 12 years ago. Fixed the shower problem, but never, repainted the ceiling. Well, that's going to give obviously concern to your buyers. So you want to make sure that the indication of a drippy faucet sometimes will give a buyer the feeling that like there are other items in the home that they are not seeing that haven't been maintained. You want to portray that you've been a good curator of your property, that you've taken care of those issues, and that those are all not going to be concerns of the buyer. Systems are really important because they're expensive. Heating systems, air conditioning systems, your appliances, your septic system. You want to make sure that if we start from the top, buyers love those hang tags off of furnaces because it shows that you've had the furnace serviced usually around this time of year, frankly. It'll show a service record. The inspector will obviously take a look at whether it's a boiler or a furnace or the type of heating and air conditioning. But for the most part, the buyer's looking to make sure that they don't have to move into the property and put in a new heating system or an air conditioning system. Appliances are critical these days. They don't all have to be stainless steel. They do need to be working in good working order. If you have to kick the dishwasher in order to get it started, time to probably invest in a new dishwasher or get something fixed. One of the things that we provide as realtors is we have a home warranty service where the buyer takes advantage of the opportunity to minimize the cost of those service calls in the future. And if your realtor signs you up for that and you're interested in putting that kind of a home warranty on your property, it covers your listing period. So if the dishwasher breaks down a couple of weeks after we've actually listed the property, it's a very inexpensive service call. And if they can't fix it, they replace it. So it's a great plan. And I'm happy to take questions about that. Septic systems are a whole other area. The Title V regulations in Massachusetts require that unless you are selling a property with raw land or as is, and frankly, finding a buyer for cash, most lenders and the state are looking for you to get a Title V certification on your septic system. Has to have the right amount of flow, the right amount of quantity for the right amount of bedrooms that obviously the town is saying that you have. The other issue is that most septic systems need to be pumped and then certified. That certification lasts for 2 years. So if you're thinking of putting your property on the market next spring, might be a good idea to think about getting that certification this season, because you don't typically want to get that certification in the height of our wet season, because you're not going to get an accurate picture of what the septic system is all about. It lasts for 2 years. If indeed you decide that you're not going to sell, if you pump it every year, the certification will last for 3 years. So that's an area of, we have a lot of vendors that are happy to help you with that septic pumping and certification. And hopefully you won't need a new septic system, but if you do, we've got some vendors for that as well. Curb appeal is everything. Frankly, it's not just curb appeal from the curb. Now it's curb appeal from your computer. One of the areas that we pride ourselves on at Sotheby's International Realty is our consumers tend to stay on our website much longer than the average real estate website because of the beautiful photography that we insist on. However, the very first picture, whether it's from the curb or from the computer, is usually the front of your home. And what people are looking for is a well-maintained but probably uncomplicated landscaping plan. Once again, we've got plenty of vendors to help you if you're looking to do a little bit of cleanup and mulching. If you're considering selling next spring, it's always a great idea to try to take photos of this beautiful season. We're happy to kind of do our photography ahead of time so that we have more than one season to showcase your property once you put it on the market. So that's a good plan. First impressions, first door. Front door, you walk up to the front door and it's got kick marks and scuff marks and cobwebs and what have you. One more area where that leaky faucet looks like someone hasn't been maintaining the property. A fresh coat of paint, a couple of planters, a new curb mat can do wonders for those kinds of things. Lisa, I'm sure, will talk about lots of appeal and easy ways to kind of spiff up the exterior and also the interior of your home. These are obviously beautiful doors. Didn't take much other than a coat of paint, maybe a new handle, a lovely wreath, something that makes people feel very welcome when they're first showing your property. Windows, you'd be very surprised. Those of us who live in the home for years, it's like not a big deal. We'll get to it someday. Cleaning your windows will pay you back in tenfold. It just provides an opportunity for the buyer to see the exterior, your beautiful landscaping or your backyard or just the sunshine. Lately, we are taking down more window treatments than we are putting up because the new consumers' appetite for sunshine and brightness and all that is really, really important. Basements are important. A lot of people will say, oh, do I have to have the whole garage cleaned out and the basements cleaned out. People are expecting you to store things, right? No one is expecting you to not have a storage area. However, when someone opens a bedroom closet and your stuff is smashed into the closet, the message it gives to the buyer is, oh my goodness, their stuff doesn't fit, so my stuff's probably not going to fit. So we really want the basement to be done in, good totes, garages. You should be able to pull a car into the garage. If indeed it's it's that kind of a garage, it's not just a storage area. Decluttering is really, really important these days. Your stuff is going with you anyway, better to start packing it up sooner than later. We have a session in 2 weeks from now called Downsizing, and the gal that does that session with me walks through a lot of the areas where you can sort of move your stuff, either sell it or donate it, or as George Carlin used to say, we all have a lot of stuff. Minor changes, the difference between the kitchen, the bathroom on the left and the bathroom on the right, they really just neutralized the floor and changed up the tile work, actually painted the tile behind the bathroom tub, and then just changed, neutralized the shower curtain. Painting is a minor issue. You'd be amazed at what you can do to a room with just a gallon or two of paint. Kitchens are important. As I said, I would not, before you consult a realtor, I would not go updating your kitchen, changing your countertops. Most of the time, we're just looking for the appliances to be in good working order and the kitchen to be neutral. Anyway, this bathroom just took a coat of paint and the new shower curtain, and as I mentioned, they changed the flooring and just painted that tile. We don't recommend painting tile on a regular basis, but it seemed to work, and there are lots of companies that will actually come in and recoat and repaint your tile area. Minor changes here. A fresh coat of paint, moved some furniture around, swapped out some furniture, just redesigned some of the spaces, a little more sunlight, obviously more neutral. It was a great plan. This situation, we changed the rug. We loved her red walls, but most consumers were not going to be in love with them, so they just neutralized with some paint. That's the same sofa and love seat. We just actually minimized a lot of the clutter, frankly. Minor change here, they painted the fireplace, swapped out the lighting fixture. Lighting fixtures, I'm sure Lisa will talk about, is a major element. It sets the tone for a lot of rooms. So, that was a very simple fix here. Once again, lots of sunlight, neutralized window treatments, etc. This is always an embarrassing moment because this was my own home in Concord before we moved. And although it's decorated for the holiday, you can see that I had a very customized French country flair. Wallpaper was floral, great big window treatments, floral. When my realtors walked through the property to give me some advice, I, like you, hold your breath a little bit because you've loved your space and you're decorating in your items. But what we're trying to do is to make it appealing to more buyers, appealing to a more neutralized palette these days. And so what I ended up doing was obviously taking down the wallpaper, painted the walls, repurposed some of the furniture. I actually rented some of this furniture because we were downsizing ourselves and didn't want to buy new furniture. Changed out that lighting fixture from brass to the drum, neutralized the panels, the curtain panels. So, this is really what the consumer is looking for. Do you have to go this far? Absolutely not. But, it's a matter of your investment and the kind of return you're looking for. One of the things that we have available to us is through our White Glove program is the ability for you to do some of those improvements without tapping into your own cash. We have a relationship with a company where you can create an unforgettable experience for prospective buyers. You can elevate your home's value, giving it the highest potential and the highest rate of return, obviously. But what happens is they will front you the money, and then once the closing happens, they will take that out of your proceeds. So you're not dipping into an equity loan or your savings or trying to figure out how you're going to make some of those improvements. They will do that for septic systems. They will do that for staging. They will do that for refreshing the kitchen, any of those elements. So if you're interested in that program, I'm happy to answer questions, but any of our realtors and any of our offices are happy to talk to you about our white glove refresh program, something that's exclusive to Barrett Sotheby's International Realty. So, as I mentioned, this is the white glove list of things that they could take care of, decluttering, countertops, cleaning. Not only will they pay for it, but they will arrange for the contractors to come in, give you a quote or several quotes if you'd like, and then manage the process. So you're really at a great plan for not worrying about how you're going to get it done and not worrying about how you're going to pay for it until after your closing. Pre-sale, prep, no cash out of pocket. I'd like to introduce Lisa Skripps. You may have questions about my portion of the presentation. I would appreciate it if you could wait till the end, and maybe Lisa and I can just answer Q&A at that point. Lisa's been in interiors for a long time. Lisa, I'm going to have you share your screen now because I'm going to stop sharing, and hopefully this will work.
Can everybody hear me? Hopefully. And let me just put this in presentation mode. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Laurie, for the introduction. My name is Lisa Skripps, and I am with Linen and Lantern Interiors in Acton, Massachusetts. A little bit about Linen and Lantern is I'm the owner and designer, and I'm also a certified stager. We're located again in Acton, Massachusetts. We focus on occupied home staging, and I'll kind of go over the difference between occupied versus vacant. I do color consultations, a lot of interior design and e-design, thanks to COVID. And because of COVID and because of everybody's sort of at a different financial point, we have an a la carte pricing available. So if you just need a rug sourced or lighting plan or hardware for all your doors, whether it's for your home now or for a future home, or whether you're selling your home, we also do that as well. And we just try to meet you where you are. And that has worked really well with the clients. A little bit about me, I have a design and merchandising background. I'm an HSR certified professional home stager and redesigner, as well as color specialist and e-designer. I'm also a licensed real estate agent. Although I'm not practicing, I have wonderful referrals through Barrett Sotheby's, and that is who I worked for, proudly worked for. I'm a member of the American Association of Home Stagers and Redesigners. I've been married to my high school sweetheart for 26 years, actually over 26 years, and we have 3 sons and 2 dogs. So very busy, but love doing what I do with staging and design. So through this presentation, what I'm hoping that you will get out of this is, some of you might be thinking, what is home staging? Why do I need to do it? What is occupied versus vacant? It sounds pretty, common sense. Why should I stage my home, and what is involved with staging my home? And I know Laurie touched on a lot of that, so I'll get into a little bit more detail. Linen and Lantern Interiors focuses on occupied staging. People are, it's just what it sounds like. Sellers are going to be staying in their home during the sales process, and they are going to be living through the sales process, which anybody who has sold a home knows it's very difficult. Clearing sort of the clutter, if you will, of living in a home for whether it's 5 years or 30 years, it's clutter, especially if you have children or children have moved on to schools or married. So this is a home, it's lovely on the left side, the before is lovely. The right side, we didn't have to do a whole lot with the wall color. It was light enough. They had just repainted it, but we sort of thinned things out a little bit. The curtains, there were some very heavy curtains on the windows beforehand. So those had already been taken off prior to going into the home. But once you sort of thin out the room a little bit, you change the lighting, it makes a big difference. And then vacant staging is just what it sounds like. The homeowners, for whatever reason, have decided to vacate the property. during the sales process, or maybe they just have a couple of rooms where those rooms are vacant. Maybe children have taken furniture, or for whatever reason they've had to remove furniture, and they have some of the important rooms like a master bedroom or a living room that is now empty, and they need to rent furniture. So usually in a vacant staging situation, somebody will come in, the homeowner will rent furniture to fill the room. Although I have worked with occupied sellers where they might have just one room, and we are able to sometimes move furniture from one room to another. Sometimes the realtors have furniture that they can add to it as well, and it saves the seller some money, and we can still make the home look presentable. The big thing about keeping rooms empty is that buyers have a very difficult time of envisioning an empty room, envisioning, where am I going to put the sofa? There's 2 entrances, there's a fireplace, there's 2 windows. How am I going to put my sofa? And a lot of times people put their furniture against the walls. And so if they can't visualize how big a sofa can fit into a room, then that causes a problem for them to think, well, there's no wall space for me to put a sofa or a table, or, whatever they decide to put into the room. So basically, home staging is creating a broad appeal. It is making sure that your buyer pool is as large as possible. I know Laurie had shared a video of the floral wallpaper, and I have some other pictures to show you. Not everybody can envision a room past the floral wallpaper, beyond the heavy drapes. They can't see how much light comes into a room, and light is really, really important when selling a home, when taking pictures. 95% of buyers, prior to actually going on their search, look on the internet. So your pictures from your home are going to be on the internet, and 95% of buyers will see those pictures first. So pictures are huge, lighting is huge, and trying to create that broad appeal is what staging is really all about. When we go through, I work with realtors, I go through with buyer's eyes. I've sold multiple homes. I've been a realtor. So I really kind of think about, what are buyers looking for, and what are the things they're going to notice in pictures, or just when they're walking the property. And when staging the home, we're trying to create emotional connection points, things that people will be like, I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Even though it's a staged sort of vignette, if you will, it's creating those emotional connection points. And that's what we want to draw homeowners to the home. And it really comes down to the 3 R's: rearranging, refreshing, and reducing. Reducing clutter is huge. And a lot of times when we live in our homes, we don't recognize the clutter because we're so used to seeing it. And so when you bring in a third party like myself, or, obviously your realtor will see it, but sometimes people just need a little bit more help to clear the clutter. And that's where a certified stager can come in and really help. Adding the right color and appeal. We're selling the space and not the stuff. And that's the key when we work with with sellers, is that you love your stuff, and your stuff is beautiful for you, but the buyers, they're going to just see your stuff. And so staging is a really important tool in selling your home. So a couple of pictures just kind of show you again. Here on the left side, it's lovely. There's, very pretty curtains, but lightening the walls, editing some of those, pictures on the fireplace. We changed out the lamp, so it was a little bit less frou-frou, added some greenery, and just minor decor changes like pillows. Everything else is really the same, but now people aren't going to see the floral they might see the carpet, but now the carpet actually is a moment versus everything else being a moment. And another picture, again, lighting is huge. So the before picture is lovely, and I'm sure they've lived there for a while, and it's very clean, it's uncluttered. But once you lighten up the walls, you neutralize the pictures. The biggest thing in the room for me is removing those heavy drapes, because those are beautiful windows, and people want to see those windows. That is a huge selling point for a great room like that. And if you notice, the furniture is all the same. We just had to rearrange it a little bit, lighten up the walls, take off the curtains, and now it appeals to a broader sense of buyers. Again, dining rooms, people love dining rooms, but they also love their wallpaper. I'm not saying wallpaper is a bad thing in dining rooms. I love wallpaper in dining rooms, and I tend to steer my clients in that direction because I think it's a great place to make a statement. But we also want to remember that if it's dated wallpaper or something that's been up for maybe more than 15 years and it's very personal to you, then it's better to remove it and lighten it up. We took the rug up, removing some of the chairs. Sometimes it's great that we have a big dining room table with all these chairs, but in pictures, it starts to look busy. And so editing chairs is a great way to make a room feel larger. And the lighting, again, I know Laurie mentioned it, but lighting is huge. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to replace a light. You can get for under $50, you can get new chandeliers at Home Depot or Lowe's or any of those big box. There's HomeSense now. And they sell inexpensive chandeliers. If somebody's going to change it out, that's okay. That's up to them. But at least they know that it's something updated and they feel that, oh, they've updated. It's the little things, they're subtle, but it makes a big difference in the buyer's eyes. Again, removing the curtains adds light and makes the room feel really bright. Another place to think about lighting is hallways. Hallways tend to sometimes be very dark, and you know, I've done staging in older homes, and sometimes the lighting is very period based, and sometimes it makes sense to leave that lighting. But in other times, replacing a light on the ceiling in a hallway makes a huge difference because it adds a ton of light. And you can get a light that's very updated for under $12 usually at Home Depot. So it's not a big expense, but it makes a big impact for when people are actually in the home. This situation, the room was there. It was actually a lovely room, but this is how they lived in it. And adding greenery, making the bed, same bedspread. The lamps were the same. It was just sort of rearranging everything to make it look done. And that's all it is. No, we didn't really add any extra curtains. They had shades for the side windows. They just needed to be installed. They've been in the box. Again, taking some stuff from other rooms. Sometimes we can usually use everything that a homeowner has, but sometimes things are missing. And so myself, I'll bring in sometimes maybe $250 worth of merchandise. Sometimes it's towels, sometimes it's bedding. And if we need to fill in, sometimes it's greenery. And if we need to fill in, we do that. A lot of times though, it's shocking what you can get from the basement, from a back room, from another bedroom, and spread it out, and you've got a finished room. So why should I stage my home? Well, we kind of talked about it. You only have one chance to make a first impression. Again, 95% see your home on the internet. And so your pictures are huge. So if they look at your pictures on the internet and they don't love that home, they may pass it up, or they may come and look at it. And that's what you're hoping is you'll catch them at that first impression. And as sellers, you really have control over two factors: price, which as a realtor, I know that yes, you can determine your price, but actually buyers determine your price in the end, because even though you might try to price it with the other homes in the market that your comp homes, that you actually, the buyers actually determine your price. So it could be lower, or it could be higher. And the appearance and condition of the home, from your roof to the outside, the exterior, all of it really determines what your price ends up being. And this is an interesting fact that I found that, staging is less expensive than the first price reduction. Typically 1 to 3% of sale price versus 10 to 15% in a price reduction. So spending a little bit of money to update, it doesn't have to be redoing your entire kitchen. Sometimes it's just painting, or sometimes the floor, the backsplash does need to be redone. And as a professional stager and also designer, I have a lot of fun little tricks that we can do that sort of help you keep your costs down, but looks lovely. And again, if the buyer decides later that they want to rip that down, that's their choice, but at least it looks nice and it's gotten to the point of an offer. So these are just some figures from the National Association of Realtors, living room, kitchen, master bedroom, those are the biggest rooms that need to be staged. Although I will add that bathrooms are really key as well. And again, sometimes it's just a matter of making sure it's deep cleaned, making sure that the paint and, everything from the baseboards to maybe the heating elements, that they're clean, the windowsills are clean. If you have heavy curtains, and again, it could just be changing out your shower curtain and lightening it up. That can make a big difference as well. So I'm a mom of 3 boys. I have 2 dogs. I get it. I have 2 in college and 1 that's still at home, but they play sports. My mudroom on a normal day looks like a mudroom with boys and sports and, lacrosse sticks and lacrosse balls and lots of big stinky shoes. But I can't sell my house if my house looks like that. I mean, I want it to look nice. So again, I'm past this point, but I can relate to the clutter with the kids' toys. Sometimes as a designer, my eyes say, well, we can fix that with proper containment. But this is just, we changed the furniture placement, decluttered, lightened up the curtains so the room feels fresh and bright. And now suddenly this is a kid's room, but somebody could also be like, oh, this could be my office or a guest room as well. It just doesn't feel as cluttery. And this is very common. And I think, this especially during COVID, you have a spare room, you've now made it into an office. That's wonderful. The room on the left, I like to call the office / dining room / we could turn a fire on and maybe like sit in the chair and face that as well. But people will look at that room and think, what is this room? Oh, they don't have enough room for an office. I need an office. They don't have enough room for the dining. They're going to figure out that the house is too small. And the dark yellow makes it dark. They have a lot going on. So just by changing out the furniture a little bit, this is rented furniture. They did not have that furniture. But again, it makes a big difference. Little adjustments as well. The lighting, they were not going to change that light, and that's okay. But once you remove the heavy sort of male center, if you will, on the left, we lightened up the staircase. That makes a huge difference. And now on the right side, it's light and bright and it feels airy. And other times people will take it to the, they've already thought they're going to redo the home. They want to redo the bathroom because maybe they've already done other bathrooms or the kitchen. And sometimes it does make sense to do a minor renovation. This is something that paint, they had to redo the shower because it was leaking anyway. So they changed out the tile. But if you look, they had to change out the floor at that point as well. But it actually is kind of minor, believe it or not. It really was just painting the existing vanity. It matched the tub. And now it looks like the rest of the house. So what is involved in home staging? This I just think is so true in staging and also in interior design. Lighting is your friend. People like light. They want to be able to see if you have beautiful windows. They want to be able to see the windows. Even if you are in an older home and you have older windows, people still want to see that. We don't want to hide the windows. We may just want to have them, if they have chip paint, we're going to suggest to you to have it, stripped maybe and repainted if it's really, really bad. Otherwise, sometimes a coat of paint is all it needs. This bathroom, just shower curtain and fresh white towels. And now removing the soap from the side. Again, that's something in a picture and all the clutter on top of the toilet. Also in pictures, make sure that your toilet seats are down. When you do showings, make sure the toilet seats are down, the towels are clean. Any bath mats on the floor have been lifted and put away. And that your shower is clean. Maybe edit some of the toiletries that are in the shower so that you don't have, 5 things of shampoo and 4 things of soap and there's toys. Maybe kind of try to corral that a little bit. So when you're doing showings that it's about feeling fresh and clean and that your tub is clean. That's huge. And toilet, even though the cover will be down. So in this, I've actually seen a couple of houses, not quite as bad as this one, but I've been in a few where really just painting the cabinets and updating the hardware. If you have an oven that doesn't work, replace it. Like get a builder grade. Everything can be builder grade. Hardware on your doors can be builder grade, because if you were buying a new home, that's pretty much what you get if it was not custom. So decluttering what's on top of the refrigerator, obviously the counters, and then just adding a few decorative touches can really make a huge difference. So just to sort of sum up the staging philosophy that Linen and Lantern uses, first impressions matter, including neutralizing smells. I didn't talk about that, but smells are huge as well. Try not to cook fish the night before you have a showing, or, you know, sometimes a lot of people will say bake cookies, have it smell fresh and clean, things that will draw people in. Again, we're looking at emotional connection points. Eliminate clutter and start packing and donating now. So many people say, oh, I'm going to move in the spring, and then they're overwhelmed, and then they don't get it done, and then they feel, you know, they feel stressed about it. If you're thinking about putting your home up in the spring, I highly suggest start removing the clutter now, packing it up, donating it, giving it to your college kids or your, you know, married children, and start eliminating as far in advance as you can. Emphasize the positives of a room and of your home, and downplay the negatives. And I didn't really talk too much about the outside. I know Laurie did, but sometimes an unappealing entry. Sometimes it's just painting the stairs and maybe the railing if necessary, making sure your door is repainted. Maybe there's a fresh knocker, or the other thing is I always suggest to clients to add flowers. Flowers, people look at the flowers. They're not going to notice as much of the other stuff, even though, again, we're not trying to hide it, but we're trying to emphasize the positive. You have a beautiful entry, or it could be a beautiful entry. Lighten up walls and good lighting. Huge. The home buyer's appeal, furniture placing, depersonalizing. I'm not one to say you have to remove all of the pictures of your family, but as a mom of 3 kids, I don't want all of my kids' pictures out. It's a little bit too much information for strangers coming through my home. So neutralize those pictures. Maybe, you know, 1 or 2 well-placed pictures is fine. Obligations, paint, repairs, upgrades, and deep clean. Deep clean, deep clean, deep clean. Just so important for a home. Beyond, you know, the picture stage, dust actually shows up in pictures a lot of times, especially if you have cherry type furniture, the dust will show up. So make sure before the pictures, the home is dusted, and before you do any sort of open homes, you know, open houses, that you have a deep clean on the floors and the walls. And again, modernize the style of the home and accessories as much as you possibly can, and create those emotional connection points. Again, even though you're going to be staying in the home, people assume that, oh, I don't want to have to start over. You would be surprised at what you can come up with in your home when you eliminate and you add just a few things that you might already have, maybe move plants around, and your home is all set to go. So what's involved in home staging? Well, call a professional home stager. We know a great one. And if you need help, my information is on the next page. Your Sotheby's agents will know of great ones if I'm busy, or they have somebody else that they work with. For us, we schedule an in-home pre-listing consultation. It's about 90 minutes. I fill out a customized 25-page home prep plan. It includes information on open houses and also closet organizing, where the closets need to be organized and where it's okay to sort of, you know, put things. If you're willing to do that yourself, it's perfect. And again, as a former Barrett Sotheby's agent, I follow a lot of their protocol. They just do things the right way. I also include a list of local independent contractors, electricians, flooring people, anybody that you might need, carpet cleaners, and donation centers as well. And then if you find that it's very overwhelming, we offer a redesign home staging session. So sometimes it's me coming in for 3 or 4 hours. I've been in homes where I've had to be there for 6+ hours. And we just work and get it all done. The big thing about occupied staging is there's tends to be a lot of emotions involved. And so hiring the right stager and making sure that they understand those emotions that, you know, come with maybe being in a home for, it could be 20 years or it could be 10 years, but you, maybe something big happened in that home and you have a lot of emotion. And the stager sometimes has to be a psychologist as well to make sure that we can get you through that in the most positive way possible. So I want to thank everybody. I hope this was enlightening. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or ask when Laurie opens it up. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Lisa. Really, really, you know, people love before and afters. We love them in magazines. We love them on TV. We love them. But the critical element is you've noticed that every time we are showing the after, it's really just editing out, decluttering, trying to neutralize. Some of it can be very, very simple. Lisa, I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen so that we can see folks. I'm happy to, as Lisa mentioned, you know, we've got a lot of history. We've got a lot of vendors. She mentioned builder grade items. Most of those you can find at Home Depot. You're not going to spend a lot of money on replacing knobs and faucets and, you know, buying a Wolf $4,000 oven. You're going to do what's practical and frankly, what can bring you a return. If you'd like to unmute yourself or you are comfortable putting a question in the chat, we are happy to answer any questions that you have. Don't be shy. I mentioned several times, my husband and I downsized from, you know, a substantial home in Concord. When I looked around at all of the items that we had in the basement and the garage, et cetera, you know, some of the items belong to our family, but most of them belong to my children. So what I decided to do was buy 3 of those really big, huge tubs, sort of the ones that you do, you know, major storage in. And I gave each of my 3 kids 3 tubs and told them that I would be happy to store anything that they could fit in the 3 tubs and anything else that they wanted to keep and say they were going to pay to store. Miraculously, they only filled the 3 tubs. And frankly, we still have the 3 tubs in our new home in the basement. So I've only got 9 tubs of stuff from the kids. And, you know, my husband didn't need 9 hammers or 12 screwdrivers. You know, I didn't need 4 sets of china. So those are the areas where if you're thinking about putting your home on in the spring, those are the areas you want to start to tackle right away. We have, as I mentioned, Marie LeBlanc will join me in a couple of weeks. She is a decluttering specialist. And one of the things that she reminds people of is if you just put an extra bag of trash out every week, you will fill a 30-yard dumpster in a year. So instead of you having to grab the dumpster, pay for the dumpster, do it over a weekend, if you start early, take a closet at a time or a cabinet at a time or, you know, a corner of the basement and begin soon, you'll be amazed at how much you can get done over the next several months and be ready for the spring market. I want to mention again, we do have we're happy to come through your home at your convenience with no obligation to give you a complimentary market analysis. In addition, we will give you some ideas of things that we think you should do to improve the property, if any, and then always refer to Lisa for that final look through, walk through to say, let's, you know, maybe rent furniture, possibly do some painting. We're happy to do that. In addition, we can discuss that white glove program with you if indeed Lisa recommends, gee, you really should be renovating that bathroom a little bit. You know, we can talk about the ability for you to not pay for that out of pocket and take that money out of closing. So the white glove service contractors are more readily available because they actually work closely with us and are used to the kind of time frame and turnaround that we need when we're marketing properties. So we have a list of approved contractors through the white glove program. Sometimes it's just a painter. Sometimes it's an entire general contractor. So it really, landscapers, our stagers, most of those folks are available through that program. Love the 3 tubs idea. I'm telling you, it was a game changer. My children would have kept every hockey trophy, every T-shirt from soccer. It was just, everybody needs to be in the mindset of really, what do we need for the rest of our life? There's a minimalist approach to everything these days. And as Lisa said, especially with the pandemic, we are seeing people want an office, a Peloton room, a exercise space. Outside spaces have become incredibly critical. People are putting in fire pits and larger patios. And so those areas, if you have those available in your home, we're going to come in and help you highlight those areas, because that's really what the new consumer is looking for. That's why they're moving to our area, frankly, to get more space, a little more control over their lives, and frankly, places to work and play at home.
Laurie, I also wanted to add too that a lot of times homeowners will wait until right before they're ready to put the home on the market. The best time to, as we talked about, start early, but also bringing in somebody. Sometimes realtors are great at that, and other times their focus is obviously on making sure you get the most value for your dollar. And a lot of realtors like to bring in somebody to sort of, do that for them. But do that early, because before you start painting, when we do the consultations, we recommend colors. There are colors that are great sales colors. They sell. So the earlier you can do that, or we walk around the outside of the property as well, do it early. It feels less stress.
Absolutely. One of the things that we always talk about is, the ability to get rid of things has become very complicated. In the past, you'd get a Salvation Army truck or a Little Sisters of the Poor, or you'd be able to drop things off places. Frankly, during the pandemic, we weren't able to donate anything. I mean, things were unfortunately ending up in the landfill areas instead of in the donation pile. In our area, we have several very needy and well-deserving social service elements. The Habitat for Humanity being one, the other one being, I'm going to forget their name right now, the Household Goods Recycling in Acton. They're trying to help people move into new spaces. They will take almost anything. They won't take large hutches or mattresses or what have you, but they'll take pots and pans and cups and sheets and pillows, and trying to get families restarted in an area. So I think that alone is a difficult plan. And if you wait until the last minute, as I mentioned, Marie will talk about this in a couple of weeks on our downsizing seminar. But if you wait and the truck comes and you've got 5 items that you wanted them to take, and you're going to close next week and they won't take one of the items, you are stuck then. We're there to help, but we are both stuck trying to find some place to move that large couch or dining room table or whatever. She talks a lot about, selling your items on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or what have you. You got to do that stuff early, because if you don't get rid of it, unfortunately, it's a very costly thing to have to get someone to move on a dime and remove those items for you. So that's the plan. I am so pleased that you joined us. One more time, anybody have a question? I'm happy to answer. Lisa's happy to answer. If you are interested in a walkthrough from one of our realtors, please just email the same email you used to get this link for this seminar, seminars@barrettsir.com. We are happy to give you a call or send an email and find a time that we could do that walkthrough for you and give you some value. I will tell you, I believe our realtors have saved people thousands of dollars in not doing the items that they thought they were going to do. So, before you jump in and spend money unnecessarily, make sure that you call a professional in that will give you, the straight and narrow. Several of my agents on the call today, Carol Avery looks like she's in our Westford office. Patty Levy's out of our Lincoln office. Michelle Pontillo I saw, she's in our Bedford office. We have an office in Concord and Carlisle, our newest office in Westford right beside the Starbucks. And then obviously Acton and Winchester and Lexington. So we're in your area, we're happy to help, and we love what we do. We love the communities that we live in and we represent, and we're happy to help you whether you're upsizing, downsizing, or sidewaysing. It's a great plan. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Hopefully this was helpful. It looks like from the chats, things were helpful. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you pop into one of our offices anytime and say hello. Thanks again. Lisa, thank you so much. Good to see you.